I was trying to have a serious conversation. Now Angie's trying to have a conversation, and all Ariel's doing in the background is playing with fucking dolls and making everybody laugh.
Maybe it would be beneficial if we put away the dolls.
Just know, it gets worse.
She didn't even know he had a brother. He had told her that he was an only child, their whole relationship. So that's kind of weird. Am I just like a child in
Yes.
everyone's eyes?
But it's just like perfume, you know? You love it, you want to smell it all the time, but you wouldn't drink it.
It's
Nuts.
so fucked up.
This is the point in the novel where I wanted to vigorously throw the book against the wall.
I'm honestly concerned about her like later in life, like mental state.
I fucked your ex-girlfriend.
Before we get into anything, I have a couple of things. Just some housekeeping ahead of time. I want to read the trigger warning list, but I also want to include the domestic violence hotline. This was a hard one.
Yeah, it was.
This was really difficult. The trigger warning for Shallow River is not in the book. It just says that it's a dark romance. On Goodreads and everything, it just says Shallow River is a dark romance that contains domestic violence, rape, violence, and sexual situations. I also would like to throw in there murder, because that also happened. So,
Torture.
torture. There's a lot. If you or anyone you know is experiencing domestic violence and needs support, please call 1-800-799-7233. Or if you are unable to speak safely, you can log on to thehotline.org or text LOVEIS to 1-866-331-9474. And just to know that you are not alone. So, Angie, this is an unusual episode because it's not a special.
No, it's not.
But you're here anyways.
But you're here anyways for a regular episode.
Well, it was another HD Carlton book.
And also,
Another soul-sucking book.
we apparently really decided that we did not want to do this alone together because we already have struggles. And apparently we needed to torture somebody else into this so that
a buffer.
we did need a buffer. This was a tough one.
I've been training for this my entire life. I've been my sister's third wheel in all her relationships, and she is now married. And yes,
I
I am.
experienced a lot of this.
Listen.
Me and Ariel had that conversation. There's going to be a lot of humor accidentally thrown in here. Otherwise, it's going to be a really dark episode.
Yeah, this is why I was like, I started reading it first, and I was like,
Listen.
yes, mommy.
Listen. No, you got the listen hand. Listen.
I'm going to mute her in a second so you can actually talk.
I'll put my toys away.
She looks so.
Angie's, you know what? I was trying to have a serious conversation. Now Angie's trying to have a conversation, and all Ariel's doing in the background is playing with fucking dolls and making everybody laugh.
She looked so admonished for a second.
I would like to get through this book so I don't get the fuck out of here. You're done.
Maybe it would be beneficial if we put away the dolls.
This book does not call for the dolls.
Unfortunately. Well,
I think we're not doing the dolls.
no. Yeah, that's why I was like, when I first started reading, I went into the group chat and I was like, wow, the gaslighting triggers are so real, and I'm only like 10% in. Like,
Well, I texted you yesterday. I was like, I'm 4% in, and I'm already having flashbacks. I hate this. And then Angie just says, it gets worse. So just know, it gets worse.
and was I wrong?
No, you were not wrong because it got way worse.
Yeah, it got bad really fast.
And stayed bad for a good amount of the book.
Almost till the very end.
Yeah. It was really rough. So, this week, on a special episode of a regular episode, we are doing Shallow River by H.D. Carlton, and we have brought Angie back on the regular verse. The smutty book
Of March Madness.
God
Listen.
fucking damn it. That's been our month, by the way, is March Madness.
As a closeted Marvel geek, the whole multiverse thing, I'm
Smuttyverse.
loving it. The smuttyverse, fuck yeah. You're making me so happy right now.
If you want to feel even happier, Ariel, before we dive into the sadness, I had gotten a message on Instagram, put the fucking doll away.
Daddy spoke.
I feel bad because I should have asked this lady how to pronounce her name. So I apologize in advance if I butcher this. I think it's Dea, Deia.
That sounds right.
I know she listens because we had a conversation about it.
Hi.
Hi. So if you hear this and I pronounced your name wrong, just message me on Instagram and fix me. So all she had to say, and this is the message she had sent, which just says, love, lots of O's, by the way, your podcast so much. Have found so many new, fun, and interesting books through you guys. Thank you so much for sharing your views with us.
Aw,
Hit me right in the little soul a little bit, and it was so sweet.
that's so nice.
So thank you.
We love finding new and fun books
We
to
really do, and we really
fund our
love to
stuff.
bring them forward. And I just wanted to share that happy comment before we delve into the really fucking depressing part of this episode. But I thought it was really sweet.
Well, if I may, it's really, that was an experience for me just now because I found you guys and then watching you guys talk about finding somebody in real time, it's just like, I don't know, it was self-actualization. It was very
We,
nice.
but it's one of those things. It is cute coming from like an outside perspective. It is nice to hear like you seeing us getting stuff from other people, knowing you've been in that position of reaching out and look where we are.
We always like,
We
people
love it.
Resties for the resties.
We love meeting new book people, and we like talking with people, and we like hearing book recommendations, and we like getting new ideas for things.
Also, one more piece of housekeeping. March 17th, officially our 1 year anniversary of releasing episodes. What a way to spend our kind of 1 year anniversary with Angie,
With Angie.
with a really depressing book. But you know what?
I thought you were gonna say with a really depressing chick, and I'm like, yo,
You
what
know,
the fuck?
I honestly didn't know a
What a
lot
way.
about this book before I went into it. Obviously, I knew the vibes that it was about, and I knew like the trigger warnings and whatnot. And I knew that it was going to have the domestic violence piece and stuff. That's kind of all I really knew about this book. I'm
I
going to be
didn't know
completely honest with
anything.
you.
I
I knew
just
that
knew
That's
so
kind of
many
all I
people
knew.
cried.
I knew that it was H.G. Carlton, so it was gonna be fucked up, but I didn't know anything else
But
outside of that.
even reading it, I didn't think it was going to go in the directions that it did, or I thought I was going to get different things. Yeah, yeah.
Welcome to March Madness
Welcome to our
Legitimately.
last episode
Of
of March
March.
Madness. Yeah.
What a way to round out March.
Indeed, indeed. If you have an emotional support stuffy, now is the time to get it out.
Yeah. This book is rough. And if you have any personal experience with any of it, it's even rougher.
All right, well, let's get into it.
Yeah,
And
let's
then you
do
can-
that.
So, Shallow River starts with River. That is our female main character's name. The book starts out in the past, and River is at a like nightclub of sorts. She's out dancing with her friend Amelia, who's also her roommate, and she is having a great time, except when some kind of sleazeball comes over and gets a little too handsy. But don't worry, she can handle herself just fine, and punches him, and she takes care of herself. No problem. And she's kind of icked by that situation and doesn't really want people's hands on her. And so she just goes and dances on her own and, isn't enjoying herself until this man comes up behind her and she can just feel this connection. And she allows him to dance with her. And she doesn't turn around or see what it is. She's just enjoying the moment until Amelia comes up and lets her know that she got sick in the bathroom and that she has to go home. And she purposefully does not turn around or talk to this man because she does not want his face to haunt her after feeling their connection and knowing that they're leaving. We learn that she has this crush on this guy named Ryan at her school, and that he just broke up with his girlfriend and she might have a chance. Amelia is encouraging her to ask him to a party. And we learn that she has this mother that lives in this like dilapidated, rundown house. And the scene with her is really weird. She's going there to like collect money from her, and the power exchange is vague and weird, but the mother does not have the money. We later learn that she's collecting rent money from her. I'm just going to get that out of the way now. But
I'm
that's
also
what
going to get it
we.
out of the way that I fucking hate this mother because as they talk, like they argue and stuff, and the mom calls her a bunch of names, and then the note that I have is, oh, okay, we're starting this way. And that her mother tells her that she wishes that she should have aborted her. And I was like, oh, okay. We're dealing with that kind of a mom. And
Yeah,
she
it's
gets no
clear that
better.
the situation
Is
like is not great. But she's in college. She doesn't live with her mom. That's what we know. Then we get back to the present, which is 2 years after that past moment. And she now is with that guy, Ryan, that she was crushing on. He's her boyfriend. She's been dating him for 2 years. She's had to wait those 2 years to meet his family. So it's a big deal that she's finally going to get to meet his family today. And you can tell right away the type of situation they're in. He's making little comments to her and about her. He's telling her she's wearing too much makeup and that she needs to wash it off. And his way to wash it off is he tells her that they have 10 minutes before they arrive at his parents' house and that she has 10 minutes to get him off with her mouth.
and clean herself up afterwards to be presentable for the
Yeah,
family.
so he holds her face down so that she is a slobbering mess
He
to wipe the makeup
slams her
off.
face down.
Yep,
Like, this is not gentle.
to solve the makeup problem. So, problem solved for Ryan. She meets his family and she meets Ryan's brother, Mako, who she didn't even know he had a brother. He had told her that he was an only child their whole relationship. So that's kind of weird. And there's some weird tension. Obviously, they hate each other. So she decides that, well, obviously it must be for a good reason. So she needs to hate him too. The brother, extremely good looking. He's got this very enticing voice, but she stands firm in her I hate him and is not treating him very nicely because obviously he must have done something to Ryan. When they get home from meeting his family, which his parents are super nice to her, and she feels like she did a great job in impressing them and everything else, though Ryan kept his hand on her leg the whole time, like squeezing her leg to like
To the point of bruising.
to I don't want to put it to make her think carefully about her answers every time his parents would ask questions.
Yeah, and if she was kind of venturing into embarrassing him, his
Or talking
hand got
too much,
or
or
talking too much, basically anything that he didn't approve of, his grip would get tighter. And yeah, as Angie said, enough to end up bruising.
when they get home from the dinner, he gets aggressive and he accuses her of wanting his brother Mako. And it's really weird because she says he's not normally aggressive with her and she has no idea what brought it on, but he must be really stressed at work and the stress of meeting his parents. And it was just a weird situation.
It was giving insecure little brother, but also Ryan apparently hated his brother so much that he had told her that he was an only child. So she was very surprised to find a brother at the house.
I hate Ryan so much.
Yeah.
That feeling does not go away. It gets worse.
So Ryan's ex-girlfriend, the one that he had broken up with in the past that was referred to, Allison, shows up at school and kind of confronts River and is like checking on her slash trying to warn her away from him. And we learn that this is something that has happened before and that River has not heeded her warnings. River just
River's
thinks
kind
that
of like
she's
annoyed.
yeah, River just thinks she's jealous, trying to start problems. So she goes out to get some ice cream with her best friend after class and just kind of, just chats with her, tells her about her night meeting the parents, just it's still that same best friend that we met in the flashback. It's kind of funny. There's a couple lines. It says, "My best friend is a good 6 inches shorter than me, so it's like watching a leprechaun dance when they find a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow." And she's like giving her a hard time. She's like, "Did you fuck in his childhood bed?" And she's like wiggling her eyebrows suggestively. Now she looks like a leprechaun enticing a young child to eat the Lucky Charms. And it just gave me I don't know if you guys have seen all the TikToks about putting your phone up to where the same height as a man and then
Seeing with
looking,
how they see you.
seeing how they see you. And it's like, upsies. And I'm like, is that how everybody in my entire life just walks around seeing me at 5 feet tall?
Sweetheart.
Like, am I just like a child in
Yes.
everyone's eyes?
There's a reason I haven't done that trend, and yeah.
Ariel, if you want to
You'd be
know, I
like-
can just show you what I see. Anyways,
So, she has a good time hanging with her bestie, even though she's a tiny little leprechaun. And then she goes home and she finds an irritated Ryan waiting for her. He wants to know where she was because she didn't come home right after class. She went out for ice cream with Amelia. Yeah, right. Give me your phone. And she does. It's weird. And he's like, "Oh, I just missed you is all. Just don't leave me. I couldn't live without you. Like, I wouldn't survive you leaving. I'd probably kill myself." And you could tell this isn't the first time he's kind of pulled that, like done something shady and then used the emotional manipulation, like right on top of that, because she just eats it right up. We get a little bit more of an insight into their toxic relationship. We learn that she's living with him, that they live together and that they have for a little while. He asked her to quit her job upon moving in, that he prefers it that way, and she obliged. He is the one who takes care of all the bills and the money situation in the house, and he is not afraid to use that at all times and make sure that she is aware of that situation.
and basically stays in her place.
Right. And she finally has a day off to spend with him, and he ignores her all day and brushes off any attempts to talk to him and engage with him. And then she finally gets the courage to call him out on it. Well, you weren't talking either, River. You always do this. You make things into a big deal when it's just us sitting in comfortable silence and relaxing. Why are you trying to pick a fight with me for no reason? We get that inside of quite a few situations where it's that constant gaslighting and manipulation. So she goes to attempt to collect rent from Barbie. Barbie is her mother. That is what she was doing in the beginning of the book. We learn that Barbie's house, where the one that she grew up in, was foreclosed on when she was a freshman in college. And she had worked and stashed and hid money since she was 16. And when the house foreclosed on, it went dirt cheap and she was able to buy it. So now she holds it over her mother's head, kind of giving her a safe space to live and making her mother be the one to pay rent to her. And so she's there getting rent from her mother. And there's mentions of a man named Billy. And we don't know who Billy is at this point. Apparently, he's the one who took her innocence and her entire childhood, is how she words it, and has done damage to both her and Barbie.
And Barbie is petrified of him as well. They're both extremely scared of him. And
The only time that River and Barbie ever bond is over their fear of Billy.
We get a point of view switch. So now we know that this book is in dual POV.
which makes me so happy.
Yes. And
Cannot tell you
Mako,
how much this was needed. Oh my God.
I needed a break from the river shit. So thank God Mako came in at the right time.
Mako arrives on the scene.
Ugh,
Actually,
usually does.
almost wish I had more Mako chapters.
Me
Sometimes I would be
too.
like,
Mako
okay.
literally arrives on the scene though.
yes, he does, because Mako is
Is a
a
cop.
detective. He's a detective, and he's on
The
his
only
way
kind
to
of cops
making.
I like are fictional.
Ain't that the truth?
Some of them are really nice to look at though.
Oh, for sure. But it's just like perfume, you know? You love it, you want to smell it all the time, but you wouldn't drink it. Sorry.
That was fantastic. Love it so much.
So yeah, we get
The
Mako's
little breaks.
point of view.
I love Mako. Ugh, that
And
man.
he arrives on scene.
He is at a crime scene. The ghost killer strikes again. He has been chasing this serial killer for quite a little while. And he's very frustrated because he feels like every time he gets a lead, it's just nothing. But he gets invited to his father's office to have lunch with him. And Ryan and his dad work at the same office. They're lawyers together. So unfortunately, he sees Ryan while he's there. And sees is an interesting word because by sees, I mean he spies through the blinds of Ryan's office and sees him and his
Ryan
secretary getting
banging
in.
his secretary.
Going down on a secretary. I think that's worse almost.
He never went down on River,
So he gets out of there because he's like, "Ugh."
as he should.
Well, he's also kind of, he goes, he has this beautiful, like, woman at home, and he's
Mhm.
choosing to do this.
Right. And then we learn that Mako had tried helping Allison for a long time. So he knows exactly what and who Ryan is. And that he, after trying for a long time, many years, is the one who ended up helping Allison out of the situation with Ryan. And that is part of Ryan's animosity towards him. He decides that he needs to try with River, and Allison actually calls him and begs the same thing. She's like, I've tried talking to her myself. I'm not getting anywhere. Can you please help her? And so that kind of solidifies, yeah, I am on it. So he, uses his little detective / stalkery skills and finds out, her class schedule in the college and conveniently bumps into her at
He
school.
also is like, I shouldn't be doing this, but like, I'm gonna do it.
He's the FBI person in the friend girl group. That's like, I got
And
this.
River does not like this. Mako's supposed to be her enemy because he's Ryan's enemy. She is Team Ryan, and she tells him to go away. It is date night for River and Ryan. And in the car ride, she lets it slip that she ate a donut that day. And apparently, that is horrifying for Ryan. He would not date her if she was above a size 5, and she needs to be careful.
She said she was starving because the only thing she had eaten that day was a donut.
That's what
And
it was. Thank you.
yeah. And he goes, I hope you don't eat that all the time. That'll make you fat. And she goes, I'm not going to get fat. And then he goes, why? Do you want men to lust after you? And
Right,
then he
like she
calls her a
can't win.
whore. And so
You
it's
can't
like
win.
she can't win. And he goes, you're the one dressing the way that you are. And she's like, do you want me to get fat? And then yeah, he's like, don't be stupid. Like, I wouldn't
wouldn't-
date you
Yeah.
if you were over this size.
You
And then-
affect my image,
and
River. I
then-
can't risk
and-
that when I'm trying to earn my way to the top.
And then this fucking psycho, because she goes, but what if I'm a size 6? He goes, I'll check all your clothing. And I'm like, dude, what the
Mhm.
fuck?
And
It's just,
this, in a nutshell, is the problem with being a woman. You want to be desirable enough to make your partner look good, but not so desirable that you have other men lusting after you.
if you're dating a stupid man.
Stupid, manipulative, abusive man, yes.
Yeah. Anyways, so they get to this stupid restaurant. It's actually a really fancy schmancy 4 Michelin star restaurant that she's never been to because it's extremely expensive, but she's heard that the food is like fantastic and it is beautifully decorated. And, they're greeted by this lady and she recognizes Ryan. My brain, I feel like she totally banged Ryan, but that's
Oh,
besides the point.
absolutely.
Ryan's
Oh,
a fucking
100%.
man whore. And they bring them to the table and the woman is like checking him out, but all River can think about is like if it was the other way, like Ryan would have called me a whore for attracting attention if the waiter had been staring at me. So it's a lot and he orders like a stupid fucking expensive bottle of wine. But it's good. So, and then he basically is like, I have to go to a charity event and you're going to be my date. And she goes, yeah, I'll look for a dress now. He goes, no, I'll find you a dress. And she was kind of like taken aback about it. And he goes, "What? You don't want me to treat you?" And so he's basically treating her as if she's being ungrateful.
Right on the heels of a conversation where he said he would check her clothes.
Yeah.
Right. So now she's in her head, like, I'm ruining the entire night. It seems like the moment I got in the car, I keep saying the wrong thing.
And then
Because she can't. She just can't win.
no. And then she makes another quote
Great
unquote
mistake.
faux pas by eating and moaning a little because the food's fucking delicious. And Ryan, like, death glaring her. She's like, "I am so sorry. Like, I've never had food like this." And he's so ominous.
And they need to get out of there quickly. And he is not happy.
Yeah. And the next scene's rough.
Remember what I said about your stuffy. You're gonna want to hug that now.
They go home and he tells her, he's like, I love you, right?
He's like, "Do you know that I'm the only one who does, River? I'm all you have. No one else will ever love you like I do. And you make me do these things and I hate it." And he is awful.
It's like, why do you make me do this to you?
And I'm like, dude. Oh, and of course, in River's fucked up, abused mind, she's like, fuck, like, I fucked up.
Like, you're
She's
dressed
thinking,
like that. You're sounding like that in a restaurant. Like, why do you make me punish you? Like, this is not. And
she's
now
thinking,
she's
I deserve this.
right. And now she's mad at herself. She's mad at the dress. And she tears the dress. She cuts it all up into pieces and punches the mirror because she's just so mad at herself. And she's like, I deserve this. I'm stupid. I'm a whore.
And like before that too, he had pushed her and she ends up with like a giant fucking bruise on her hip. She's having a hard time walking with the hip too. And she limps. She's got a limp now, briefly.
The next day after class, Mako makes another attempt to talk to her.
This
She
man is
kind of is
so
just
great.
ignoring him at this point because she's like, screw you. And she's off trying to do her own thing. And he follows her to this abandoned library. And we learn that this library was such a crucial part of her childhood. She went there like every day. There was this librarian who actually knew everything that was going on with her and was trying to adopt her. And in River's eyes, would have succeeded, except the librarian suddenly died. She had like a stroke or something. Now, obviously, without the librarian, the library has gone into disarray, and it's just sad.
It's her safe
This,
space.
yeah, this lady is just like one of the only people that River has felt like has ever loved her or cared about her.
Is it Camilla?
Yeah. Mako and River are now at this library and they're talking about this whole story and she's telling him about it because they get into a conversation. I think it's just her safe space that is allowing her to open up. Plus, for some weird reason, she feels comfortable with him and she doesn't know why, even though she shouldn't because he's an enemy, don't you know? But the whole story about the librarian really gave me Matilda vibes.
Yeah.
Once the librarian passed away, basically forced River to change her lifestyle. And then she started prostituting to make money and try to get out because she knew that the only person who was going to get her out of Shallow Hill, where she was going to be herself. And that her name is River because she was actually born in the Shallow Hill River. And yeah.
More on that fucking later.
Yep.
And
So
it's a commonly known thing that it's really hard to make it out of Shallow Hill, and it's kind of like a miracle that she made it out and made something of herself.
yep. Mako, unfortunately, while she's kind of moving around, clocks the bruise on her hip. And he is really not happy about it and tries to ask more questions, but of course she brushes it off, but it kind of ruins the chummy vibe they had going. And she goes and opens up this like secret room. She tries to turn the situation back around again, away from her and Ryan, and tells Mako more of her story. And we learn that, basically her mom is the awful parent that we always knew she was, that men have been utilizing her since childhood for a long time. and just she had a really rough situation at home. All she has in her head is like, what Ryan says, about being a whore. And Mako makes it very clear that she is not a whore, but that makes her feel too much. So, gotta go. Peace out. She leaves.
So there is actually a scene in there that I really like, and they basically start talking about what they wanted to be when they grow up, which is like what prompted River to tell him. He tells her that he wanted to be like a pilot or something, and she tells him that she just wanted to survive, and she's done that. And then that's when she starts telling him about all the, fucked up child shit. And I was just like,
Mhm.
damn, that hurt.
Poor
Sorry.
girl.
Yeah, no. I don't think it was a pilot though. I think it was something like more obscure. But
I don't know.
that
It was it was like a regular little kid dream, like, oh,
that's what
I'm
I
gonna
meant,
be
like a
a,
little kid. Yeah.
yeah, like I'm gonna be a pilot when I grow up, or I'm gonna be a hockey star or whatever. Like it was just like he had like a random, which is kind of
A race car driver.
race car driver. That's what
That's
it
what it was.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he decided
Be a
he wanted to be a
detective.
detective, and then
And he
he achieved
succeeded.
that.
Right. And she learns, oh shit, now he's a detective. Like
And then, oh, fuck.
yeah. So when she gets home though, Ryan's wondering where she's been. And she kind of gets a little,
Shifty.
well, kind of gets a little smart mouthy and is kind of like, do I not have free will? And
No.
smack, which she's like, what the heck? Because she thought that other one was kind of a fluke. Now he's just like up and actually like hitting her
Yeah, because it's always
and
been more like verbally. It's never been
or
physical and
kind of
out
roughly
of,
grabbing or like
yeah.
pushing.
And is it now she has that realization that ever since that dinner with Mako, all of a sudden it's just gotten worse? I don't know if it
Yeah, I
is
think
now or
so.
not, but
But so he's like, are you cheating on me? She's like, no, of course not. Like, where have you been? Hanging out with Amelia. Why did Amelia say she hasn't seen you?
in a
Why are you
while.
Yeah, because she was avoiding her a little bit because she had the brute. Yeah. Why are you lying to me? She's like, I'm mad at you. Mad at me? I've done nothing but take care of you. I've only treated you how you deserve. If I have to teach you a lesson when you get out of line, then that's not my fault. And
Angie
she,
looks like she wants to kill Ryan on site right now. Look at her face.
so he smacks her and she gut reaction punches him back.
And she is so shocked
That
after
was her
it. They're
reaction.
both
Yeah.
kind of a little shocked. Like, what the fuck just
But
happened?
I
My
mean, he hit
favorite
her
part.
first.
Yeah, my
That is
favorite
true.
part is what happens next when he's like, why did you do that? And she goes, because you
Because you
deserved it.
deserved it. Yep. And he goes, do you feel better? Only if it means you'll stop laying your hands on me. You're supposed to make me feel good, not hurt me. He's like, I'm sorry. And she, what? He's like, I shouldn't have done any of that. I won't hit you anymore. I just get so frustrated when you don't understand how you don't get how men think. I do. You need to listen to me. You need to trust me.
She's
I
a little
know.
tiny girl.
I don't want men to steal you away. And I just want to make sure your body is covered and that you're protected.
Covered in what, bruises?
And she was just like, oh, okay.
Ugh.
Like, that makes sense.
I'm just a girl. I don't like leg day because it makes my butt pop. I like leg day because then when I throw your dead body over my shoulder, I won't throw my back out. Just a girl.
So 3 weeks later, Mako makes another attempt. And it doesn't go well since things have been good lately. And things
Yep.
are all good now. Everything's good.
It's that honeymoon period.
She rationalizes that she knows why he's putting these restrictions on her. It's for her own safety. Like, it's all good. So she goes to get rent from Barbie, and Billy shows up. He's mad. He's like, you're too good for Shallow Hill now. You a ghost. I'll show you where your home really is. And he puts her in her place by doing what he apparently has always done to her since she was a small child and beats and rapes her.
After
Well,
slamming her face in while Barbie watches, and then afterwards,
Barbie's waiting for her turn.
it's just, it's
Nuts.
so fucked up.
But Barbie prefers it that way because that means that she gets brutalized less.
Nuts. So she finally is able to get in her car and leave, but she's too scared to go home. and for Ryan to see what has happened to her or know what's happened to her. So she kind of just pulls over in this nice little neighborhood, worrying herself over, and she ends up passing out.
Yeah, because she's worried that he's gonna be pissed that another man touched her. Not that she was raped and concerned because of all of that, but because another man has been inside of her. That's the concern that he will have. Fuck Ryan.
And River, somehow knowing that, also rationalizes it to be like, let me find another way because I can't go home right now. That's not a
A
way
lot
to
of
go.
rationalizing in your head.
That's,
Yeah.
I feel like that's where I would
You
have been like,
gaslight yourself.
girl,
Oh, yeah. So, weird coincidence. She happened to pull over and pass out in front of Mako's house.
I've
because
never
the
been to Mako's
universe,
house before. The universe has thrown her there.
Yep.
the universe be universing.
So Mako finds her and she wakes up in the hospital. And Ryan's whole family is there. And when the doctor kind of questions her, Ryan is like throwing daggers at her. So she just kind of responds with, I'm assuming I got mugged visiting my mother. I don't remember. So she spends the night in the hospital and like she is rough. Like she broke bones, she broke several ribs, she broke her pinky, her hips still all out of whack. She's all fucked up. She can barely move.
And they want to do a rape kit on her and she refuses.
Yep, she says, I would know if something happened to me.
Ryan's not happy about that part either.
No. Well, she says, I would know. It's my body.
It's not your body,
And
it's
she
Ryan's body.
and she does know. She just doesn't want them to know.
She doesn't want Ryan to know. Yeah.
Ryan's not an idiot.
Because
He's an
Ryan,
idiot, but he's not an
Ryan
idiot.
would make it her fault. So she ends up being discharged from the hospital and into Ryan's care. He's supposed to be helping her because she can't move. So Ryan puts her on the couch and then he goes and locks himself up in his office upstairs for like all day. And she can't wait any longer. She's calling him and calling him and calling. She needs to use the bathroom. She's calling him and calling him and calling him. And he's can answer. He can hear her. She can hear what he's doing in his office. She knows he can hear her.
He's just not answering.
He's ignoring her. And it gets to the point where it's too bad. So she tries to get up off the couch and move, and she doesn't make it because of the excruciating pain. And so the pain of trying to move off the couch causes her to not be able to hold it anymore.
She
And
pees herself.
yep, on the couch. Of course, that's when Ryan decides to walk in. And he's pissed.
He's so mad that she peed on his couch.
He's pissed. The whole thing is her fault. She must have been cheating on him. Like that's why she wouldn't do a rape kit. This whole thing is her fault. She deserved it. And he hits her in her covered in pee and then tells her, I will kill you if I find out that you fucked my brother. Like, because he's the one who found her.
Yeah.
Like, and then he storms out. And so she's left in a puddle. She can't move. She keeps trying to get off the couch. She can't do it. And she doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know who to call. Amelia, she found out her friend Amelia is pregnant. She doesn't want to involve her in any of this. She also doesn't want her friend to see that Ryan left her like this. You know, that's legit.
Mm-hmm.
So she calls Mako and he comes right over and takes her out of the house, puts her in his car and takes her. So we get a little flashback of her when she was 10 years old after a really bad night with Billy, where she found herself kind of in the same kind of situation where she couldn't really move. And, you know, she's just kind of almost just like reliving similar vibes to now, where like similar injuries, similar pain, and reliving the situation of asking for help and being denied and not have the ability to get up and go to the bathroom on her own and just having to sit and lie in her own piss all night.
And she's also not allowed to cry in this flashback either because of the threat of
Yep.
if she cries, more things happen. And then he says like disgusting shit about her and how she wishes that she could be basically as cavernous as
Used.
her mother so that he wouldn't want her anymore. And that is such like a sad thought to have to be in that position. It's awful. Like
Yeah.
Billy
And we
fucking
learn,
sucks.
yeah, and we learn that the locks on her door have always been on the outside. She's never had inside locks on her door. We get
Yeah.
back in the current situation, and Mako takes her home and gets her cleaned up. And we learn about Mako's past.
Oh, so
And
He asks her if he wants raspberry. Sorry.
this man deserves all of the things in the world.
so
You
he grew
thought you
up
liked Zayd Meadows? Just you wait.
he grew up in a really shitty neighborhood with really shitty parents, similar, not on the same level, but
But similar
in
enough.
a similar shitty area
Yeah.
as River. His mother sold herself for money, and his father was a drug runner. And he was adopted by Ryan's parents when he was 13.
Which is why, partially why Ryan would
Hates
say
him.
he doesn't have a brother.
Right.
There's other reasoning. I hate all of it.
Or that he doesn't belong.
Yeah, tells him he doesn't belong all the time.
And she comes to a realization. She says, you know what, after Ryan did today, it's time to finally accept the fact that I'm dating a lesser version of Billy.
Yep. Just barely lesser. Just barely lesser. He's still real bad.
But, well, she's had to deal with Billy almost her whole life. So that's why to her. Yeah.
No, I know. Just saying.
So she
He-
spends a week recovering at Mako's house.
Ugh, this man.
And she has a great time there. But
He takes
Nothing
such good
happens.
care of her,
No.
though. No, nothing happened.
sadly, during this week,
She just got I wouldn't either.
no, I know. At the end of this week, she has 126 missed calls, 349 unread messages, and 40 voicemails from Ryan.
That's a lot.
And most of them are a mixture of like, come home, you're killing me. Does this make you happy? I want to kill myself. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Pictures of him holding a
I was
gun
just
to
gonna
his
say,
head,
ugh.
all this stuff. And all she's like, he's hurting too. Maybe this time he's actually sorry. I've never actually left him before. Maybe he's going to take me seriously and things will change. I at least need to go get my stuff, like. So she decides to go back to the house and agreeing to Ryan to go back home.
It
I
should
was
be
really
noted.
hoping that was going to be it. And after like going with Mako, like
It should be
I was
noted.
mistaken.
Two things should be noted. One, she sneaks out of Mako's house like a thief in the night. She literally calls an Uber, and in 15 minutes after that call with Ryan, she literally leaves. She's like, Mako's at work. It'll be fine. Two, this is the point in the novel where I wanted to vigorously throw the book against the wall.
Did you do a TikTok?
No, I did not, because then I went on and kept reading the book, and then it was just from bad to worse.
So she goes back to Ryan's house because she feels bad because she doesn't want him to kill himself.
Yeah, the second she walks in the door, she doesn't like the
She knew she
vibe.
fucked up.
Yeah, the regret
The vibe is so bad.
instant. The regret is instant. And she kind of takes a step towards the door a little bit. And he's like, I missed you. Can I get you anything? How are you feeling? And she's like, I still haven't let go of the anger yet. Just because I'm here doesn't mean I'm not hurting. So she does stand her ground. But she didn't come back broken and despondent. So he's like, no. Couldn't quite keep up the facade a little bit. And she kind of takes a step back a little bit when his eyes change. And he's like, you're not leaving. And she's like, I wasn't going to. And she kind of moves her fingers on her phone a little bit to try to get the SOS button. And he grabs her phone and rips it across the room. And he's like, you don't need that. I just want to help you. You never let me help you. She realizes that this was definitely a mistake. But the only way to get through this is to placate him. And she's like, I'd love for you to help me. Will you help me to the couch? I'm still sore. Like, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you owe me an apology first. So she's like, I'm sorry, Ryan. And he's like, I'm sorry I hit you. He's like, and I'm sorry I fucked my secretary. And she's like, excuse me? He's like, you didn't think I wouldn't after you let someone inside you, which nothing has been ever confirmed. He's just, this is all in his head because she refused to rape Kit. I mean, it's true, but I mean, she didn't let anybody, but I meant this is all in his head because she refused to rape Kit. He's like,
To
come
be
on.
clear,
It was
he
only
was
fair I got even.
absolutely fucking the secretary prior to the situation.
So he's like, now that I've gotten even, we can be happy again. You won't go to Shallow Hill anymore, and I'll fire that slut.
Oh yeah, because
And-
she's the slut.
So 2 days later, she finally answers, not on purpose, but she finally answers one of Mako's calls, who he's been trying to get in touch with her since she ghosted him in the middle of the night. And, she assures him everything's fine, stop calling me, leave me alone kind of thing. And Ryan is being kind and sweet. And now she's starting to question herself because she's been placating him, but like now she's questioning herself like me. I just overreacted.
Because the cycle has started right back over again.
Yeah. 6 weeks later, Mako is getting frustrated with his case. Time is weird in this book. It's like, because it was such an ambiguous time, it took like a whole chapter to figure out that it was 6 weeks later. And it's that's frustrating for me. I know that's a thing for you too. Like, put it at the top.
Yeah.
So he's having trouble with his case, very frustrated with this ghost killer. And they finally have this witness that apparently saw a murder, but they demand to have a lawyer so that they can get them into witness protection.
Sorry,
Angie just went like this.
And they're just going in circles, and it's a whole
just
thing.
Rolling her eyes.
And I'm not going to lie, part of me was like, I had two versions in my head throughout some of this book. Like, so the beginning, before some of this went down. I was wondering if this ghost killer, because they make such a big deal about the ghost killer, so I knew it had to be somewhat part of the story and somewhat part of this who we know and stuff. So I was wondering if I had actually, three theories that I had running. It was going to either be Billy, Ryan himself, or somehow it was going to be River.
That's what I thought.
I knew who it was already from the very beginning.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
actually, not from the exact beginning, but from one specific moment. I knew after that moment.
It was in the beginning. I was thinking it was one of those three. It was that scene that it solidified him in the lead for me. And I was like, yeah, it's probably that. I said, unless H.D. Carlton does that weird thing where she wants us to think one thing and then we go, shoop. That was.
You know what was for me? Was the situation with Ryan and his dad.
Yeah,
that was surprising for me.
That was out of left field.
Yeah, that was surprising for me.
So for whatever reason, like I read it and I was like, oh, I didn't know that, but I wasn't surprised, and I was like, why am I not?
No,
surprised?
I guess okay. I shouldn't say surprised, but I didn't see it coming. Like I didn't see it ahead of time. Like I didn't in my head go, this is what's going to happen.
I wish that I could say the same.
In an H.D. Carlton book, he was too good of a person.
Yeah, he had his ducks 2 in a row, and it was just.
So River, on the other hand, is feeling stir crazy because she's been cooped up in the house. She's not allowed to leave because Ryan doesn't trust her to do anything but go to class and come home because she cannot be trusted to be around other men or other people. And she can kind of see his point, but she wants to see Amelia, and he thinks that Amelia is a bad influence on her. So he doesn't allow. And pregnant.
Pregnant.
So she's begging him to go see Amelia. It's like, I'll go to her house. Like, we won't go out. No big deal. And you'd be going over to hang out with her and David, another man. She's like, David's her husband. Why does that matter? Why does it matter? Because you'd be hanging out with another man without me around. Why does it need to be explained how disrespectful that is to me? She does not like this. She thinks that this is unfair. She wants to see Amelia. It's very important to her to heed Ryan's rules and advice, but equally important to her not to lose her friendship. And
Amelia, real quick, Amelia has known that because Amelia also came from a rough background, so she knew that she came from a rough past also.
Because not a lot of people
get it.
Because Ryan doesn't even know.
Yeah.
But you know who does know?
So when Ryan goes out with his friends for for the evening and kind of says, don't wait up. She sneaks out to go to Amelia's.
That was
And
risky business.
yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. So, of course, she gets back and everything. And when Ryan gets home, he confronts her and punishes her. Like, you live here rent free. You don't pay for anything. The least you can do is listen and acknowledge that all I do is take care of you. I strictly told you to stay away from that whore and you didn't listen. Bad girls get punished. When you're done getting punished, I'm taking your phone. This is the first time he rapes her. And he sodomizes her, like, with nothing. Yeah. Which, okay, I'm not a man, but it's not the same. But wouldn't that not feel good? Why do they like that? Because
he spit.
yeah, but that's not enough, really, to.
It's not enough for her, but it's enough for them.
Oh, okay.
I can ask a man.
I just feel like it would be too, I don't know.
Some men like that though. They're resistant.
The friction.
Well,
The
he
friction.
likes, oh yeah, I was gonna say he likes the force and the
Right. So
power,
it
but
probably
I
doesn't
just feel like it would
bother him.
chafe, you know?
It probably doesn't chafe for him. He probably likes the chafing. I have no idea.
Anywho, yeah,
Maybe the
he's
spit was enough for him.
punching her in the back of the head as he's raping her until she passes out. So 2 weeks later is the next time that Mako makes another attempt. And he is shoving a Sharpie in her face, which that actually didn't go anywhere, which was weird. I don't know why.
I think
We
he
made
was
it-
kind of hoping it was.
And I get it. It was another way of him reaching out and trying to do something. I just wish it went somewhere else in the story other than this one little point.
But the Sharpie in the thing is probably important. Just because, like,
As a public service announcement.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So he's just telling her that if you put a dot on the inside of your top of your hand, that a lot of industry service workers know that's a sign for help and that she should use it. And
Yeah, it's a silent sign because obviously if you're in that kind of a position, you can't outwardly say it, and not everyone's going to know that's the sign for help. So yes, as a public service announcement, that is something that you can do, and most, as Ariel said, most industry professionals know that is the universal sign for you need help. There's little things out there.
so yeah, so he encourages her to use the Sharpie and she kind of tells him to kind of like fuck off. And he lets her know that he's coming over for dinner tonight. And she's like, what the fuck? And I guess Ryan is that witness's new lawyer. So now, unfortunately, he and Ryan have to work together on this case.
This was also a twist I didn't see coming.
And so she kind of calls Ryan. Obviously, she can't tell Ryan that she knows, but she's kind of like, oh, what's going on for tonight? Then Ryan lets her know that Mako's coming and I need you to make meatloaf because Mako hates it. And I wish you wouldn't told me ahead of time, like, so I can go to the store, blah, blah, blah. But he's really busy and important. He doesn't have time to do tedious things with her. So they're at dinner.
So Mako's mother was an addict and the father was no better, but at least he didn't like bring that stuff around Mako. But the only thing that the addicted mother could scrounge up was meatloaf.
So Mako actually legit does hate meatloaf and he's not happy about this offending meatloaf. And Ryan is reveling in Mako's obvious discomfort, but River made this, so Mako's eating it anyways. And Mako starts the conversation. The only thing they have to talk about, the case at the table, and he's like, no, we will not talk about that, in front of her kind of thing. But then she asks a follow-up question to what he said, which tisk, tisk, tisk. So of course, Mako obliges her and gives her details. And this is when she learns,
she figures out
that the case that they're working on is the serial killer called the Ghost Killer, and that he writes ghosts into their bodies and they become ghosts. And that she panics because she knows who this is. So Ryan does not like that. He sees that she's kind of
shook.
They both see that she's kind of shook, and Ryan thinks it's because they're just talking about murder in a case. See, this is why I didn't want this at the table, and shuts it all down. But when Mako leaves, don't you know, this is River's fault because she asked a follow-up question. And I'm so fucking tired of you embarrassing me. And he just grabs her and slams her head into the wall. And he's like, do I ask a lot of you? Do I? And she shakes her head because, I mean, she just hit her head and now he's like trying to hold her down and he's got both her wrists gripped in his hand. And he's like, why do you disobey me, huh? He's like, I do everything for you. I treat you like a queen. I provide for you. I let you waste your fucking time with college and spend my money, and this is how you act. And then he pushes her hard and she blacks out. And she wakes up, obviously very sore from her head and falling, and she wakes up feeling sexually used.
And her finger is broken.
Yep, he pulled her finger all the way back and broke it.
Yep. This
And
man has the fucking nerve to ask her how she feels.
yeah,
I'm like,
he walks in, he's like,
excuse
how
you?
do you
Like,
right?
what the fuck?
She's just kind of like, he promised he wouldn't do something like this again. Like, what the heck?
She's also pissed because she's like, did you have to do it while I was knocked out? And he's like, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah, she
You're my
says,
girlfriend.
And she
I
kind
can
of
do
just
what I
looks
want.
down at her naked self. And then when he sees kind of where her thoughts are going, he goes, I own you. I can fuck you whenever I want.
Yeah.
You knocked me out. He's like, your pussy was available. Turned me on seeing you vulnerable. What's the big deal?
and
Yeah,
then he said, would you have said no to me?
that's not how that works.
She's like, I just feel dirty and used, and it's just gross.
Yeah, and then of course that's when she ends up confronting him too, saying, you know, you said that you wouldn't hurt me again. And he goes, I know, baby, I know. And this time I'm serious when I say I won't.
He's apologizing, like, don't
He's
make
like,
me feel worse than I already do.
Like my anger got the best of me. I'm sorry for that, but like don't make me feel like shit.
it's like, I wouldn't have minded if you had raped me.
Piece of shit.
I'm serious when I say I won't hurt you again. Like, I promise. And she's like, what are you gonna do when you get angry next time? Psh, little fucking jerk a hole. So they go get her finger taken care of. And of course, he doesn't let her go alone because what if it was a male doctor? Oh, gasp. And of course, the woman treating her, is asking all the right questions, but she's not
Having it.
given anything.
She's like,
Asking all them
can I
questions,
just
make
go?
us
I shut
assuming.
it in a car door.
So Mako is in Shallow Hill investigating his serial killer. He is with his partner, and we learn why this case is so important to Mako. Apparently, years ago or so, his dad was the ghost killer's first victim. And there was a bunch of killings then, and then it stopped, and now they've started back up again recently. And Mako sees River while he's in Shallow Hill. She's heading to her old library, and he can't not follow her. So he parts ways with his partner, Amar, and he heads to go check out what River's doing. And she's got her extra broken finger now. And
They masturbate in front of each other.
it's a really weird scene. Like, it went from like 0 to hero just like that.
Well, it's
And-
because she's not a cheater. She may be a whore because
the sexual tension was just like so much, and
she
I just
said,
like,
I'm not going to be the whore that Brian thinks I am. I'm not a cheater.
but like she's
And then
always
he's
told
like,
him to
all
like
right.
get away from her, get away from her, get away from her, and then all of a sudden like they're there and they're talking.
I think that her
and it just
resolve
escalates
is just,
real quick.
I just think
Well,
that
Ryan keeps raping her.
yeah, so I think she's just slowly distancing
Also-
herself and giving
She's breaking
into
down, man.
she's
Breaking
just
down.
giving into the pull she has towards Mako because she wants to bang him. She can
Also-
deny it all she wants, but she's conditioned by Ryan. But I think as things progress horribly with Ryan, that is starting to break down like her resistance to Mako. So this is like the first step. And like as Angie said, she said she's not a cheater. So technically in her mind, them masturbating in front of each other is not making her a cheater because they're not technically touching each other.
No,
And
she
then
feels real guilty.
well, of course she feels guilty, but I'm saying
For a woman who has her head repeatedly slammed into the pavement like multiple times a week and has several concussions, you cannot
I'm
expect River,
I'm honestly concerned about her like later in life, like mental state.
like, dude, her
The amount of
rationalization is just straight up not going to be it. Already, she
she's
comes
like
from an abuse past and is in an abusive
what is
the
that
situation.
thing that the
epitome
football what is
of
that thing that the football players get?
yeah, but she's like the epitome of the unreliable narrator over here.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I know what you're
Which
talking
is
about, the
why I
football
like that we
player
have
thing.
Mako.
Yeah.
Nico's such a sweet man. Ugh,
Lusting after this wounded woman. Kind of weird, but no.
I don't care.
That was so blasé. I love it.
So again, an ambiguous amount of time later, Ryan comes home from work one day and he has lipstick on the collar of his shirt. And it
That he
smells
clearly has tried to wash off not very well.
and it smells like perfume.
Oh, Ryan.
And the wheels will not stop turning in her head. And
And this is it for her.
She is just freaking out.
This is kind of the moment for her. And she even says, like, I don't know why it took, after all of this shit that Ryan did to me, the cheating is what pushed her over the edge.
She says, I'm not sure what it is, but
She
it's
says-
cold and it's hard and it takes all the feelings I had for Ryan and it sucks them up like a fucking Dyson vacuum cleaner. It's like they were never even there. Everything shifts, hardens, and then numbs. Everything he's done to me, everything I've forgiven him for, are no longer forgivable. Not the hitting, the mental gymnastics, the living in fear, the anxiety, all of it, no more. And more importantly, I forgive myself. Ever since the day in the library with Mako, I've been beating myself up, agonizing because I'm a cheater and I'm a whore, just like Ryan always accused me of being. I couldn't eat or sleep for the last few days, and for no reason, because Ryan's been cheating on me all along anyways. And I can't believe I actually stayed this long. Like, she's just cycling through. Her brain is just like going through all of this. And she's realizing all these like little conversations that they've had and these little like micro manipulations all throughout their stuff. When Ryan comes in, he's like, we're going out to eat tonight. Let's go. And I think get dressed. And she's still in her head going through all this like crazy. She gets ready and goes because she's like having a mental breakdown. She knows she can't just like up and walk out the door. She has to like figure this out.
She has to be smart about it.
So, right.
And this is the turning point of the book where shit goes fucking wild. So buckle in.
So they get to the restaurant and they're having a conversation. He's like, oh, you graduate next May, right? And yes, what are your plans after college? And she's like, I was planning on getting my PhD. See, so she's going for psychology. So she wants to actually be able to continue and actually finish that. And he's like, I'd rather you stay at home. She's like, and do what?
Be a
And he's like,
mom.
raise our kids, obviously. And she's like, oh, well, maybe he was stuck with a nanny a lot and he wants to make sure that his kids are always cared for by their parents. And that's where this is coming from. He's like, we are never hiring a nanny for our kids. It's no one else's job to raise them but yours. The mother should always be the one to raise the kids. I'll help, of course. I don't want them to grow up as pussies. And she realizes that, yeah, she just has to agree with him while they're in public. Like, she's had all this realization and she just has to placate him to get through this. Like, okay, like a good little
He's
bitch.
also very fidgety. And she's
And
just
then-
like, why are you so nervous in her head? She's not saying this out loud, but and then this
Oh,
motherfucker
sweet Ryan, are you sweating? I
and
think
then
that's
this
like the internal.
motherfucker does something so stupid. And he proposes to her with a yellow diamond and she's like offended at internally offended. Like, who wants a yellow diamond? I fucking hate colored diamonds. But in her brain, just pictures
Pretend it's-
Mako on his knees and she says yes.
Well, she knows that there's no way
She has
out
to
of
keep
this
up the
situation.
pretense of it. Yeah, there's no way out. So
She has to just go through the motions and get out of this situation. And
she doesn't want to
once they
embarrass
get-
him in a restaurant.
right, once they get home, he's, trying to initiate happy time with her. And she's just, I'm not, I don't want to do this right now. He's like, why wouldn't you want to? She's like, I've just been really cramping all day. Like, I just don't feel good. And he's like, oh, little blood doesn't bother me. She's like, oh, that's gross. You think me wanting you is gross? And she's like, oh, crap, this conversation is going downhill fast. She's like, oh, I'm telling you no, and you're not accepting it. And he's like, you don't get to tell me no. I'm your fiance, which means I get to touch you and fuck you whenever the hell I please.
For all our
And
young, impressionable male listeners, if you cannot hear the knife in my voice right now, that's not what that means.
Your fiance can still tell you no. Your wife can tell you no. Your girlfriend can tell you no.
Your
Your
wife of
side
50
piece can tell
years,
you no.
fucking
anyone can tell
anybody
you
can
no.
tell you no.
As
No?
I have heard from other people, no is a complete sentence.
Yes. And he fucking slaps her. And he's like, we just got engaged. I thought you'd be more excited. And she's like, you said you stopped hitting me. And oh, I think I'm the victim here. I just put myself out there. I made myself vulnerable to you. And you have the nerve to reject me? Like, do you enjoy pissing me off? And then the cat walks by.
This part almost took me out.
And she kind of saw him walk by out of the corner of her eye, and he clocks that and grabs the cat,
By the throat.
making the cat, yeah, well, by the scruff of his neck, but startling the cat, like, because he's grabbing hard. He's like, apparently I need to teach you a lesson. If you don't have nice things to say, including your filthy fucking animal, I'm going to kill him. And she is freaking out. She's like, stop, I'll do anything. I will do anything you want. So he lets go of the cat and grabs her and drags her up the stairs because they were still down in the living room. They hadn't made it up to the bedroom yet, which I did not realize until it said that he had dragged her up the stairs. And he dragged her up the stairs just to push her back down them. And then he grabs her hair to drag her back up and then throws her to the floor of the bedroom and fucking rapes her. And then lets her in on the little secret that apparently he's been drugging all her drinks and putting antibiotics in all her drinks to mess with her birth control, and that there's no way in hell that she can leave him like that.
If she's pregnant.
Right. So she has the clarity, but not the ability to leave yet. She asks Mako to take her cat, though, to help get her cat out. And she visits Barbie again to finally figure out if her suspicions are correct about Billy. And Barbie lets her know that, yeah, he's hooked on meth again, apparently. The last time he was hooked on meth, 15 years ago, he went on a killing spree and killed all his men, making them ghosts. So she's pretty solidified
because meth makes you paranoid.
And now he's back on it again. She then endures 3 weeks of hell. Part of it is, where's the cat? And she's punished for that. And punished for everything. To the point of she's so anxiety ridden and on eggshells that she accidentally burns dinner. And to punish her for burning dinner, he makes her take the dish out of the oven without any oven mitts on, which it's super hot and she's burning her hands. So she accidentally drops the dish, which then shatters the dish. And so then she has to clean up all the glass. And now she's cutting herself all up and it's not good. This is just her final straw. She cuts the internet because during these weeks of hell, she's learned that all he does is watch her on his phone through the cameras in the house. So she cuts the internet so he can't. And she plans her escape while the cameras are out. And she calls Allison because she figures Allison would be an outside person and that she would know, and Allison's be there in 10. She goes to leave and Ryan catches her leaving out the window.
She was so close too. She made it
She
out
was
the window
so
and
close.
like she was gonna climb down the lattice on the side of the house and he pulls her back up and drags her back
Yeah.
inside.
She's trying to run on the roof and he's trying to pull her back. She's screaming. He pulls her back in though, and she's trying her best to grab the edges and let him drag her back into the house because she knows once she's in the house, that's going to get not good. But he manages to get her inside and he throws her onto the floor and slams the window shut. She runs. So he obviously runs after her and she runs to the kitchen, which is closer than the front door where the knives are.
Smart
Before
thinking.
she can get to them, Ryan grabs her arm. And just as she touches them, Ryan's arm grabs her and everything scatters to the floor.
I think that like the knives were in a drawer and she grabbed the drawer handle, like when he grabbed her, it pulled out, and then everything went to the floor.
So he grabs her body and slams her down to the floor and slams her head onto the tile. And she's kind of taunting him a little bit. And you're going to kill me, Ryan?
I mean, she's literally at that point though.
She's
He's
like,
like-
what have
he's
I
like,
got
he-
to lose? My cat
Yeah.
is safe,
And
dude.
he's like, I haven't decided yet. And so she spits in his face and headbutts him. She's like, I don't know how to headbutt properly, but
I've already
I'm
got a
assuming
concussion,
since
so
my address, no, she says, I'm assuming since my adrenaline has risen to dangerous levels, I'm good.
like,
Nothing
plan.
else to lose.
And his head snaps back and blood starts pouring out his nose. And so while he's distracted by all that, she kicks him in his kneecap, which makes him fall to his knees, which makes her feel like she has the upper hand. So she scatters her hand on the floor to grab a knife. And she grabs the biggest one she can find and swipes it at him and catches him across the face. And he's
Not happy about that.
pissed. And then she does it again and across his chest. And he's just in shock. And she's just like, it's my turn to be the Punisher. And it's the end of the scene. Like, that's all we get.
For
Yep.
now.
But
We
can
find out what
clearly
happens,
see-
but it's
I
not
know.
like in detail.
we can clearly see. Oh, how the turntables.
Love that.
Turntables.
I don't think she's ever watched The Office.
I
Oh.
have.
I
No, I
know you
haven't.
have.
Oh.
I don't. Ariel hasn't.
Oh,
That's why she was like confused.
yeah. So Michael Scott, like, he knows the expression, kind of, but doesn't know how to use it right. So he's like, oh, how the turntables turn.
So funny.
So we see her again as she's heaving Ryan's body up to the attic.
And at this point, it's very dissociation nation. Like, she's very clearly just going through the motions and thinking about shit like, man, I gotta get plastic for this attic roof because I don't want the blood to seep through. That's gonna be a bitch to get out. Dissociation nation all the way.
I didn't 100% see it as dissociation. I saw it as like thinking and planning and like
Because at that
plotting
I-
her next.
I saw it as dissociation because she was already bruised.
I also
and
think I
beaten from,
dissociate too
like-
much to maybe
You do,
recognize
so
that fully. So
We can't trust Ariel's thought process because she dissociates
Yeah.
a lot. So
yeah.
we don't listen to her.
Because when I dissociate, that's when I start thinking my most logically. Like, that's just
Oh my God, I thought you were
My
going
most-
a completely different way with that. And I was like, that's what you start thinking about is plastic and blood everywhere, Angie?
I said I start thinking the
What?
most logically. If that's Dexter to you, that's Dexter to you. I am not here to judge you.
I'll be real. I think when I read this, I thought he was already dead.
I wasn't sure. So I wasn't
I-
sure for like a
I
couple
think he
paragraphs.
was
and
like,
I was like,
knocked out. So
He
So
was.
she-
I just
yeah.
in my brain, I was confused. I was like, I think he's already dead. Only because of what she says to Allison.
next.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh, he's dead. He's not dead yet.
So she hangs him up with rope
Knocked
by
out.
the rafter in the attic. Yep. It's like,
And our little River is a Girl Scout, and she has
oh, I'm pretty sure it's more
she
like
has
this.
a rigging system. No, because both of his arms are up.
Both his
It
arms
says
are up.
wrist, just singular.
I'm picturing both.
It says, I loop a thick rope around the rafter, tie it to Ryan's wrist, and use it like a pulley system. And Ryan's body lifts until the tips of his toes touch the ground. And I test the strength of the rope and satisfied when it holds firmly. I work quickly, covering the area beneath Ryan with towels. Later, I'll have to go to the store for plastic. Unfortunately, we don't keep serial killer ready items in our house. And then she uses duct tape to seal off his wounds to make sure he doesn't bleed too much so he doesn't die too quickly. And that's it.
But it doesn't make sense that he would have one hand free.
He's hanging there.
He's got nothing going on. Where is he going? Nowhere. He can
He's
barely touch the
dying.
ground.
I mean, that other book we read, it was only one hand.
That is true.
Yeah.
Never let go.
So.
Angie wasn't here for that one.
I was picturing too.
There you go.
I
Here's
think
your
it's because
picture.
later it says that both like his arms have lost like that they look green or something. And then I'm like, oh, I
His
guess at
skin,
one
yeah.
I guess at some point both his stuff
I don't know.
I
For now, this is what it looks like.
I don't know.
very
Yeah.
well.
So she goes to see Allison because she put her in a panic, blah, blah, blah. And this scene is really weird too.
It took a turn I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
You
And
know,
this scene, it really makes my bisexual heart happy.
but I was so confused. So she goes to Allison and tells her she's okay because Allison was really worried. And then she tells her that Ryan's dead and that she killed him. And then they fuck. And I think it was more of a
Allison goes down on River, and then
that's
River
what I was-
returns
yeah.
the favor, and then they fuck,
yeah.
actually. But even afterwards, they're like, yeah, this wasn't like a we're gonna fall in love thing. This was just like two people who have been,
Therapeutic.
yeah, two people who have been through the same shit, same
Therapeutic
person.
relief at his death. But it was just weird.
Yeah.
Told you the benefit of these is astronomical.
That's the clip.
Yes, we got dolls.
We did get dolls.
Yeah.
They're our friends.
They rub their vaginas together.
And this one is hung from the rafters.
And then she goes back to Ryan and tells him, I fucked your ex-girlfriend.
So funny.
Oh, makes my heart it
Oh,
just brings me
so
joy.
good.
It just brings me so much joy. It just does. Because then she's like, and I know where she's got freckles.
And she just spends all
Because he
this time
doesn't believe her, and
torturing
she goes,
him
"Oh,
with a
she's got a
box
freckle
cutter.
here." Oh my God. Yeah, she starts just
Having him and just,
Oh, she goes, she's awfully good too. I chirp. Came harder than I ever came with you.
men don't like when you say that, by the way.
no.
Not
You're
that I know from
lying.
experience.
I chuckle and shake my head. She's got a freckle right here. I point right above my hip. And a freckle right here, I say, pointing to my left inner thigh next, upwards, closer to my center. His eyes bore holes into my hand, his lip curling in disgust as he seethes. Anyone could have seen the freckle on her hip, but the freckle on her thigh? Well, I would have had to see her naked for that one. And then she gets paranoid because there's a knocking on the door and it's the Girl Scout cookies.
I totally got so thrown off with this part. With the door, the cookies.
Oh yeah, because that was the beginning
I was
of
so
her
confused.
paranoia.
I had
She
to
was
read it
like,
4 times.
well, remember because he made such a big deal about her weight that
That's
like,
true.
you
I
know,
just was
cards are the
confused as to what
devil.
was happening. I thought it was gonna be somebody else.
Yeah, she
Oh,
was just
yeah.
paranoid, and then
So then she
when
just eats cookies in front of
she's
him
like-
to torture him more.
she's like, so she finally opens the door and she's like, Girl Scout cookies, and then in her head she's like, yep, still the fucking devil, but she still buys some cookies.
So we learn she's asking him all kinds of questions, and we learn about Ryan's past and kind of how Ryan became a monster. Apparently, his father basically molested him as a child, like his whole life, which then he also resented Mako because his father didn't do it to Mako. Because Mako was older and knew better and would tell.
And also he came from the hood, so he definitely would have fucked Matt up.
Yup.
Allison calls Mako.
I mean-
that little tattletelling bitch.
Honestly, though, I would too. She's concerned.
Well, she also thinks Ryan's dead. And she's kind of like, have you heard from River? And he's like, oh, like maybe you should check on her. And he's like,
smart idea.
motherfucker. Right. So he goes to the house to check things out. And
Can we just real quick, because once she discovers the thing about Matt, River asks Ryan if he ever felt sorry for doing to her
Oh my God.
Mm.
Such a
uh,
dick.
what his father did to him. And he
Spoiler
mulls,
alert. No, he doesn't.
yeah, he mulls over my question, burning rage still lit his eyes. After a moment, Ryan speaks. I enjoyed every single second of it, River. I will never be sorry. Women are weak and powerless. If I had to suffer for being those things, then so do all of you. I refuse to be sorry for that.
You're going to be sorry soon.
Because I've got the stick.
We need to stop. This was a terrible idea. What a great idea. Anyways, continuing. So Mako was like,
Who allowed us to have toys?
Ariel sent them. This is what happens when Ariel sends you mail.
And then she tortures him some more after that.
I would too. That is such a shitbag thing to say.
And then she says, your brother would love me.
Uh,
Yeah.
doesn't she even say, I'm gonna fuck him? I mean, Ryan ain't going nowhere, so you know what I would have done? This is really fucked up. But I probably would have just fucked Mako in front of him.
Oh, I definitely would have done
Just for
that.
shits and gigs.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, oh, you were worried about this? Okay.
But you know what I would do? I would like duct tape only his eyes so that he could be in the room but not be able to see it, which will add to the psychological torture
I
of
don't know. I
knowing
would
it's
have duct
happening.
taped his eyes open so he had to stare.
I
Anyways,
guess it's
continuing.
depending on what would hurt him more.
Shit gets continuously weird.
So Allison calls Mako and he's at the station and she's worried and so he immediately is like, oh my God, what happened? Is she okay? And she's like, no, well, she's okay. She's not hurt or anything.
Maybe you
but
should check on her.
but I think you should talk to her. That's all I'm saying. And he's like, okay, and runs the fuck out of the office.
So Mako goes to the house and checks on River. He's looking around. He's like, what's going on? Where's Ryan? Kind of thing. And it doesn't take much of his questions for her to like fully blurt out a full confession of what's going on.
Yes, he asks her, like, what's going on? And she says, well, I fucked Allison.
to try to deflect the situation.
Right. Yeah. And he goes, that's not what you had to tell me. River's actually super defensive. She's like, you're breaking and entering into my home. Fuck.
He says, that's not what you need to tell me, River. And her shoulders slump in defeat, disappointed that her little distraction tactic didn't work. But later, he'll be revisiting that confession. And then she just blurts, Ryan's upstairs in the attic. She's contemplating what else to tell him.
Because he's a cop. And because that's the only reason why she doesn't want to say anything to him is because he's a police officer. Right. Like, she doesn't want him involved in all this or, to arrest her. But, this man also loves her. And we don't know that yet. But he definitely does.
So they go up to the attic and he sees Ryan. And for one slight second, Ryan has a glimmer of hope in his eyes at seeing Mako until Mako laughs at him. So, nope, Mako's actually down with this. So they leave the attic and they get chatting. And she unfortunately has to tell Mako about his dad and Ryan and everything. And she ends up, explaining how everything happened and how Ryan ended up in the attic. And he's like, you got to be careful. They're all making a plan for how they can get rid of Ryan. And they're like, yeah, sure, he was cheating, but it could look bad on you. That could be a motive for you. And, you have to spin it right. And, we could make this a ghost killer thing. And he goes, what if the ghost killer got to him first, kind of thing. And this is when we learn, because he's recalling that day about her reaction to the ghost killer, about the day that she made meatloaf. And this is when we learn that the reason has such an aversion to meatloaf is because his mother used to make meatloaf. It was the only thing she knew how to make. So that's all he ate for 12 years. So he hasn't been able to eat it since. And his brother knew that, and this was his own brand of punishment. And he shares that Friday, Ryan called Mako and said that he knew who the ghost killer was. So it would be a reasonable assumption that if he winded up dead, it would be at the hands of the ghost killer. So they say, we're going to spin it to where the ghost killer knew Ryan had evidence against him and got rid of him. And he's kind of like, I got this. Don't worry about this, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no. This is my kill, Mako. I got myself and you into this. I will be the one to take him out. And they agree that night they're going to finish it.
Yeah, baby.
So
With a box cutter. Fucking right.
So that night they have everything in plan. And Ryan has a weird way of pleading for his life. He just tries to manipulate his way out of it.
He's been manipulating his entire life, so that's the
so
only
he
thing
thinks
he
that
knows
this
how to
is
do.
what's going to save him.
He's a dumbass.
Can't mansplain or manipulate advice, so manslaughter it is.
Like, he's trying to pin them against each other. Like, she's obviously a killer. Like, she's obviously a psychopath. Are you going to help her? She's going to kill you next, Mako. And try to turn them against each other. And she's just kind of like, I'm growing bored of your lackluster bargaining skills. How are you even a lawyer?
She's also like, I don't want to become a serial killer. Getting rid of your body's going to be work enough.
Facts. That's a lot of work. So,
do we have places we need to check, Ariel? We've had this conversation before, right?
This is the second book in a row that it's got convenient pig pens, and she lives in the middle of nowhere, New Hampshire. Do you really think you'll find anything? Come on.
No, because Ariel apparently
there are a lot of farms around here.
Listen, the last time we did a video,
I know.
she just said, if you need a place,
I know.
if you're running from cops.
I know.
But then in the past, we've done books where you're like, oh, I did this. And I'm like, someone needs to check her basement.
I don't really have a basement. It's more of a crawl space basement.
I don't have a basement because I live in Florida and we don't have those.
So then River takes her fabulous box cutter that she loves, pulls down his shorts.
Dude, this part.
It was very cathartic.
And grabs his dick and then uses the box cutter to
shoot
it off.
Dick off with a box cutter. Oh, is it
slaps?
Bobbitt is the lady's name who did that. She cut her husband's dick off for cheating on her, and he was abusive. So
I know all I can think of is Serafina.
Yeah, me too.
I haven't read that yet. There's another book that I read that someone cut their dick off. There's a lot of those, and then shoved it in their mouth and then taped their mouth shut. I don't remember what book that was. Ew. I haven't read that book.
Yeah, you should.
So then
it's gonna be a cakewalk after this one.
I really think she should read it.
It's on my list of never-ending fucking TBR, guys.
Same.
She takes some duct tape to cover the wound, so she still has a little bit of time before it bleeds out.
And now he's Ken.
I'm just Ken. See, now he's accurate.
Don't do it. He doesn't deserve the song.
He really doesn't.
And they're trying to get Ryan to tell them who the ghost killer is. And Ryan won't tell them. So they decide to end it.
You think for someone who is trying to plead for their life that they would just give them the information?
But that's just how spiteful and awful Ryan is.
I know, Ryan sucks.
Even on his deathbed, he doesn't help a guy out. Like, dude, it's your deathbed. Do something other than waste oxygen, maybe.
He's a waste of space.
And oxygen.
So she gets this broomstick covered in double-sided tape with all these little pieces of this mug that she broke and that she got punished for, and her engagement ring. And she comes up behind him and shoop, sodomizes this man. And that's enough to kill this motherfucker.
Yep.
Shoop.
Boy.
And, I kind of wish he had lived through that.
I know, right? And she just kind of turns to Mako and says, "Are you disgusted by me?" And he says, "I'm proud of you, River." So, bye-bye, Ryan. So, they obviously have to clean up his body. So, they spend time cleaning up his body and bringing him to a pig farm to dispose of him and making sure that the evidence...
HD really likes her pig farms, huh?
And the evidence follows the trail that he, was trying to meet up with a mistress and the whole ghost killer thing, and that it would follow the trail.
I like to think that River ends up working for Legion.
So she has to make the call to Ryan's father Sunday night and is like, I thought Ryan would be home by now. I know that he was going on a work trip, but I haven't heard from him. He hasn't been responding to my texts. Like,
She is
I'm
acting her
worried
little
about
ass
him.
off.
Oh, yeah. She just says she just lets herself feel for a minute and everything just, the
And
floodgates
Mako
just
is
go.
like impressed.
Mako, I think he's actually a little not impressed or turned on. I think he's a little scared for a minute
It's like,
because
it kind of scares me the way
yeah.
that she drives. Beautiful, crazy.
Because she just all of a sudden was like hysterically sobbing on the phone. So apparently, much to his father's unhappiness, the police made them wait 72 hours before they let Ryan be reported as missing. And then there was 2 weeks of the police searching for him, and the media has started camping at her house. So, she can't really see Mako much because she's being hounded. So they end up meeting at the library.
Yeah, they do.
He's kind of like, do you remember the first time that we met? And knew it. Mako was the man from the club in the beginning of the book.
That she fantasized about.
Yep. So then they kiss and then they fuck. And then it's a little
so
too much
good.
for her, too overwhelming and feeling. And she says, gotta go collect rent from Barbie. And he says, I'm coming with you.
And she does not want that to happen.
No, because she wants to go talk to Barbie about Billy. Ugh.
Yes.
Because
And
Mako still does not know that she knows who the actual ghost killer is, which is a problem.
and
Right.
she doesn't
But
want to
she's
tell him
afraid
now
of
because she's afraid of Billy, and two, because she doesn't want to lose him because she's been keeping this thing from him.
So Mako meets River's mother, and Barbie tells him the story of her being born, which is fucked up.
That Billy was chasing Barbie with a knife trying to kill her.
Billy is not a good
She
guy.
hid in the river.
Yeah, she hid in the river, and
then she like put the baby up and like as a shield.
She's like, look, I have a baby now.
And apparently, she says, River is what ultimately saved my life that day. As soon as Billy heard her cry, he decided he liked the sound of it, and then made it his life's mission to hear her cry until she escaped Shallow Hill.
fucking hate this man. So many terrible men in this.
So she just wants to get out of there, ask for rent money. And then she starts talking about the ghost killer and the Billy connection. And fuck, now he realizes that she knew.
Yeah.
And
he storms out.
He's like, you knew?
So.
And he kind of walks out of there. He's not leaving her there. He just needed to leave there. And he's like, get in the car. And as she's leaving, Barbie goes, wait till he finds out that Billy's your father, too. It's fun.
Surprise.
This is one of the few highlights that I had in this book. God damn, bitch, you cannot catch a break.
I know, right? Me 1 second.
No. Just kidding. All right. Now is the time to talk shit about her.
Her hair's too long and perfect.
I know, right? Ugh, that bitch. She cooks way too well.
Yeah,
Like,
and then
who
she
does
has
that?
then she has the audacity to live so far. Like, why?
I know, right? And then, she like, oh, sorry, she's back. We gotta stop.
River doesn't believe her.
Mako's pissed,
In all honesty.
obviously, and he just says, do you have a picture of this man? And River shows him a picture of Billy.
I didn't see this coming.
It's fucking Ryan's witness.
The client.
So I kind of saw it a little bit once, like, oh, Ryan knows, Ryan, you know what I mean? All this stuff. That was my little.
I didn't. I lived in a state of ignorance and bliss.
About the Billy being the father thing, River just thinks that Barbie's out to hurt her more, so she doesn't actually believe her. She's like, she must be lying.
No, she's worried. But she's
worried
also
that she's right,
hoping,
but she's like,
she's hoping that Barbie's just messing with her.
She's hoping that Barbie's just being Barbie, aka a terrible fucking person.
Barbie and Ken, god damn it.
So,
for real.
3 days later, River's been holed up in her house this whole time. She hasn't really heard from Mako. Mako's been working on the case. The ghost killer and Ryan's murder has now been kind of solved. There's a hunt for Billy. It's still active. Nobody's found him yet, but they know who he is. She's really worried that Billy is going to come for her. And
Which
she's kind
duh.
of she's talking about it to Amelia. And she's like, I put the cameras back on because I'm just so paranoid. And Amelia's like, just come stay with me. And she's like, I'm not going to endanger you like that.
Especially with her
And
unborn baby.
right. And she's just really worried. I mean, she had a reason to be because she's woken up in the middle of the night and there's Billy. You betrayed me. Lights out, bitches.
Just when you
Um,
think like shit can't get
no,
wild, it
the
just
hits just
keeps
kept on
going.
coming. Yeah,
Which again, damn bitch, you can't catch a break.
no.
Nope.
So Mako is at Ryan's funeral. What they assume is Ryan's funeral because they don't have a body, but they're just, you know, operating under assumptions. And River is a no-show. It's weird and it's kind of pissing him off because he's like, we could have had a conversation, like a forced conversation because of this. But then Amelia calls him and is like, I'm worried about River. I was at her house yesterday and she was really scared and now she's not answering, that I can't get a hold of her. And he's like, I'm on my way. And he goes to the house and it's a mess and there's blood and he's worried. So they watch the recording and they see River getting taken by Billy. Puts up a good fight, but she gets taken by Billy.
Which is so hard to see. As not only Mako, but as well as
For Amelia.
Amelia.
And then Amelia asks him if he's still mad at her for not telling him, and he goes, no, not anymore. She had a reason to be like scared.
Yeah, and Amelia shares with him their conversation and how this is what she was worried about, you know what I mean? And like she knew about their, her past and everything, all that stuff.
Is this
She
where does
also
Amelia I was gonna say, does Amelia ask him if he loves her? And he's
Yes.
like, yes. And I'm like,
And she also feels really guilty because although River never saw Mako's face, she did because she was the one who pulled River away that night. And she
Right.
feels so guilty because she's like, if I hadn't pulled her away and gotten sick that night, like you guys could have ended up together and none of this would have happened. And she feels so bad. Poor Amelia.
poor lady.
So River wakes up in a basement because apparently March is for waking up in basements or waking up tied up places. I don't like, we're in it in March. March fucking madness. Billy does more beating and raping and then avoids her for 3 days. She's basically kind of given up. She's just like, it's not worth
Oh,
it anymore. She's stopped eating and drinking the food that he's been supplying.
BT Dubs, when he takes her, he does confirm he is in fact the father because she has his mother's eyes and he hated her.
He's trying to get a rise out of her because giving up doesn't work for him. And he's just kind of like, Ryan was right about you. And she's, like, what? And apparently Ryan was trying to trade her, like basically sell her as a human being to make a move in the drug world. He confirms that he is in fact her father, and it kind of gives her a little bit of fight, and she decides that she's going to actually fight and try to escape. So then she doesn't see him again for the next 3 days. Once again, the same pattern, but this time she actually does eat the food and does drink the stuff being given to her. So when he comes down the next time, she's not as weak. And she asks him, can I have a shower? And he's all like, can I watch?
Yeah, like a gross fucking person.
Yeah,
He
it's,
says some really gross things.
yeah.
So
Then we go back in Mako's point of view to right after he watched the footage. So like a week prior. And after he sees the footage, he goes to see Barbie. And she's, I don't know nothing. And he pushes her more and pushes her more. Oh, and then finally gives him the name of some restaurant that Billy frequents. Then Mako spends the next week staking out the restaurant for Billy. So now we're on the same day as we left River going up to the shower.
And we
And
love his partner because he asked his partner if he's gonna turn around and like so he could have deniability, you know, and let him do what he needs to do. And he's like, "Nah, I'm gonna be there doing it with you. What do you mean?
His partner's so
Ride or
amazing.
die."
it's good doobie. And finally, this is the day he sees Billy at the restaurant, and he follows him back through this like trailer park and this like dilapidated neighborhood to this like almost like abandoned looking house. And then he can't even like make it out the car before he sees River running out the door. And hot on her heels is Billy. And she's screaming, "Watch out. He has a gun." And Mako is shot. He's shot in the chest. And then the weirdest thing happens. Mako just picks up his gun, and instead of shooting Billy, he picks it up and chucks it
Right at
and
his head.
hits Billy in the head with his gun. I was really confused about that
I
part.
wonder if he did it just in case something happens with River and he didn't want to accidentally shoot River. That's the only thing I could think of.
I also think that, okay, so he got shot in the chest, which means that he most likely injured his shooting arm, which means that he wouldn't have shot accurately anyway, but he had more confidence in his throwing skills, his like, mortar skills.
That does make sense because they did say it was difficult for him to pick it up because, of the shot.
I
So
like Andrew's better than my answer.
it makes more sense to me.
I watched
But
a lot of Criminal Minds.
so, anywho, it knocks Billy to the ground. And so then they start like grappling with each other on the ground until he kind of subdues Billy a little bit. And River tells Amar, the partner, to take Mako to the hospital, bring him to the car. And he's like, "I'll be right back for you." And River picks up the discarded gun, and Amar just looks at her and says, "Do what you need to do."
Ugh, love this man.
And she
And
does.
we're not getting a sequel, guys. He's happily married.
And she does. And she shoots Billy.
Hate that.
He said, "You think you can kill a god?" And she
He
says,
is high as fuck,
"You're,"
dude.
and she says, "You're not a god,
Yeah, he's on
Billy.
some meth.
You're just a washed up old man that has no loyalty. That's why you keep killing everyone, right? You can't trust a single soul in this world because everyone despises you." And him. Finish him. Sorry.
Ugh, so good.
I gave you life,
That was
bitch, and I
echoing
will
for
take
me.
it away. The fuck you will. Oh, it's Mako.
Then we are at the hospital. Mako has made it out of surgery, and she tells Mako that she loves him. Then we skip forward 8 weeks later. They're making food together, having dinner together, and she is triggered by using a knife to cut food. And so Mako does some knife play with her to make knives have a different. And Crystal was very unhappy with this part.
I was happy with it. I was happy with it in a plane with Zaddy Z and Adela, and I was happy with
I
it
hated
here.
it in that book. I hated it in this book. I hated it in every single other book we've ever read.
I love
I don't
And
it.
think
that's
weapons should be near your vagina.
I don't think so either, but in this case, it was therapeutic.
so that's the end of the actual book. And then we get an epilogue, which is 2 months later. And, she asks if he's her boyfriend, and he wants them to live together, and he proposes to her. Amelia,
So
it
cute.
is so cute. And Amelia has the baby and asks River to be the godmother.
And the middle name is River.
Yep.
But then it doesn't stop being not cute because then it continues.
Yep. And then we have 8 months later, and we find out that while Mako was in the hospital when he got shot, he told his mother about the father and everything. And so the parents have now gotten a divorce, and Mako and River are at dinner with his mom and are sharing the news that they are engaged. They waited 8 months to tell her because, Ryan and all that jazz. And she's so excited and over the moon. And Ryan would be so happy for you too. Then we have 2 years later, and they are married and happy. And then she finds out she's pregnant, and she says that if it's a girl, she already knows the names that she would want. And it's Camilla after the librarian. And that is the actual end of our book.
I do like that when she finds out that she's pregnant, her first reaction is, "Oh fuck."
And then the only other thing I had with the book was, and I don't know if you guys also had the same reaction, but this was mine, was want to know what really happened between Ryan the ghost killer? Sign up for my newsletter to get an exclusive bonus scene in Ryan's point of view. And you know what I said? Well, thanks.
I said, fuck that shit.
Yeah, I said no.
I didn't read it. I didn't want to read it. Fuck Ryan.
That's a hard pass from me.
No, thanks.
So I have one section though where I don't know if it's a typo or not. It feels like it is, but I was really confused. It is on page 275. And
okay, hold please. We'll see if mine matches. We'll see.
75.
it's a text message on the
Lily?
page.
Oh,
Yep.
where it says Lily?
So
I
it
got
says
confused.
Lily, and then he called the person Serena 3 times afterwards.
It has to be a typo.
I got really confused.
I think he was talking about several women that he used to.
I
But
don't
that's
know
not how it
because that's
reads.
not how it reads. Because he
That's not
says
how
I
it
delete.
reads.
He says I delete the text, then her number, and stuff the phone in my back pocket. Serena barely held any attention in
Yeah.
the first place. So I think it was supposed to be Serena, but it says Lily in the text message. I also had the same question too.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think that was a typo. So yeah, cool. That was Shallow River, guys. How's everyone feeling?
I hope that your stuffy helped.
What was everybody's favorite character?
Can we
Mako.
just at one, 2, 3, Mako.
Mako.
Mako. Do you want to do it again?
Okay, 1, 2, 3, Mako.
Mako.
Yeah.
Got it. Nailed it. Sounds great. How about least favorite character? I had multiple.
I'm just gonna River's mom.
It's a tough one for me.
River's mom, Billy, Ryan's dad.
Billy was a bad guy. Ryan's dad was a bad guy.
He wasn't Bill's
Ryan was a
guy,
bad
though.
guy. He was. Her mom just like never.
She chose to be in that
Yeah.
for the drugs.
Terrible person.
The one self-respecting moment that Barbie had in this whole book.
There was a self-respecting moment that Barbie had.
Yeah, it was
Please
really
do tell.
It was really small, so it was hard. It was looked over very
Okay.
easily. When she got taken and he went to see her, Mako went to see her, and he tells her, like, you will never see her again. I am going to take her out of this. And she just says, thank you, and removes herself from the kitchen and locks herself in the room.
I hated
That's
her. I don't care.
that's the
The
part.
one-
Like she knows.
That's it.
She knows. Of course she knows.
Right.
She's
but
not stupid.
Ah.
Even River knows. Even River says, like, Barbie's not stupid. She's street smart as a motherfucker. Like, she knows.
Street Mart.
Yeah, she's street smart as a motherfucker.
Street Mart.
Great. So, Amazon gives us a 4.4 and Goodreads gives us a 4.2. What is everybody's rating?
I rated this 4 stars.
I gave this a 4.2, I think. Let me see.
I also gave this a 4.
Oh, I gave it a 4.4.
I just wish the other shit was over by like halfway and we got half the book on their relationship. Like it was just so like rushed at the end and it wasn't developed for them. Like, you know what I mean, to be what it was.
It wasn't the stereotypical romance novel where we got to like enjoy them.
It just ended
together.
up being kind of almost insta-lovey because of their brief little bits.
Yeah, but like we just didn't get to enjoy seeing them grow together and like being a couple aside from that one kitchen scene.
So yeah, obviously we're not doing a cucumber rating, I take it.
I can't.
No, I said no rating.
So we're going to
Wheel of Fate?
Wheel of Fate. And this is Angie's first time with the Wheel of Fate.
Oh
And
my
welcome.
God.
Welcome to the party. This is where we spend.
Well, no, she was here for the other one, wasn't she? When we did, oh no, those were specials.
She's never,
right?
she's only ever been on a special where we've never spun a wheel.
And she's gonna miss. Oh, that's a bummer.
But she can read along with us.
I can.
and just text us later.
That's stupid. All right.
I'll cry
well-
about it later. Sorry, Angie.
Oh, I hope we get something funky for you then.
Wait, the sass.
So we're gonna Wheel of Fate it. The Wheel of Fate is where we spin a wheel where we have put a bunch of books on it, and the wheel just decides what week we're gonna have. If it's gonna be a good week, a sad week, a weird week. I don't even
We're
know.
moving into a new month, so
We are.
Hanging
We're gonna
from the
move
what
into
is
ceiling.
this new month going to bring us?
Is April gonna be springy? Is April going to be fucking weird? Who the fuck knows?
I
March
mean-
turned dark, so
Our specials are about bunnies, so
that is true. Speaking of specials, guess who's gonna join us for a special?
Me?
So we're gonna spin the wheel. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
spin.
Sounds great. Next week, we are going to do Monster Pucker by Cleo Evans.
Ooh.
And this is a me book.
It is a U book.
And I believe it's actually going to even be a me book.
Is it?
It is
I don't
because
have it
it's
open.
121 pages.
It is an extra
So,
U book. You're
a
starting us.
double-
So you had us all through basically February, and then March was basically for me. And are you going to start us out in April
You
again?
know what? It's funny. Yeah, you're welcome. So,
Monster Pucker, can we assume that's going to be a hockey?
Yeah,
yes,
I think it is
so
hockey.
you ready? So, Monster Pucker by Cleo Evans is an MMF monster hockey romance. It is
Ooh.
also a holiday hockey romance, so you're welcome. Just you wait. Getting stuck in the hockey locker room was not how I envisioned catching my next story. After a fateful encounter with two of the hottest players in the NMHL, I'm swept into an unforgettable first date. Claus is a famous Krampus, one of the biggest players in the league. He's gruff and hot with a teddy
It's not
bear.
July or December. What are you
Shut
doing?
the fuck up. With a teddy bear heart hidden underneath. Frank the Flurry Murray is an up and coming Yeti who dreams big and loves hard. These two monsters make me feel things I've never felt before. After a night the three of us can't forget, we want
It better
more.
be one of these nights.
The only problem is someone out there is trying to ruin it all. What you'll find in this novella.
Is it me? Am I the problem?
Can I get through this description without you interrupting me?
I'm so sorry.
Please.
You need to behave. Just because we have an audience doesn't mean you can act out of turn.
Sorry, Daddy.
What you'll find in this novella: a plus-sized FMC, two hot hockey monsters that fall for her hard, a size difference, snowballing, naughty and naughty times.
So
We learned about
Christmas?
snowballing, and we've learned so much about snowballing. So gross.
Chris-
Do you know what snowballing
So we're gonna have
is?
Christmas and Easter all in one?
Yeah, we are.
So many holidays. That's weird.
The death and birth of Jesus all in one show.
Jesus.
Angie,
Sorry, I was raised Catholic. I'm sorry.
so join us next week, unfortunately without Angie, but it's okay because she'll be with us in spirit, and also she'll be in a
And-
special in April. So,
The first special of April. So check her out.
motherfuckers.
But either way, read along with us and make sure to keep reading.
And keep it smutty.
In the corner.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, fuck.